Welcome to another edition of Secrets from the Super Rich Friday. I'm your host, Tim McNeely, and I'm excited to have you here. We want to talk today about something really important to you, something you should be considering, and that is how to be prepared for the worst. The political uncertainty that's in the world today, wealth inequality, other realities, they really have some of the wealthiest families taking extreme measures to protect themselves. And by the end of this video, you're going to have some tools, right? You're going to know what the wealthiest families are doing. You're going to have a four-step process that you can use no matter your level of wealth to really systematically approach making preparations for when the worst happens. Well, how do you do that? What does it look like, right? Once again, the super rich have taken some moves to really protect their wealth from bad events happening. And what are they doing? Well, there's the Doomsday Clock in the world. And if you haven't heard of the Doomsday Clock, what that Doomsday Clock is it's a countdown to the end of the world, essentially, right? We see that the clock gets closer to midnight all the time. And we really do kind of worry about all the uncertainty in the world. So what does that look like? What are the super rich doing? Well, here's an example. There's a billionaire and he purchased an extensive property far, far away from his own country. And he actually built a well-protected home that could be self-sufficient for over 20 years, right? Over 20 years, imagine that. And only a third of his home is above ground. The other third is below. And the team that he hired really worked out, evacuation protocols for both him and his family members that would move them from their current location over to this secure location. And among the super rich, this move is often referred to apocalyptic insurance. And in generally, the super rich are taking steps because they believe there's a low probability, but a probability nonetheless that there's going to be some very severe things down the road. Well, what are the motivations? Well, what are the things that we see in terms of this apocalyptic insurance, and what should you be considering? Well, there's political uncertainty, right? Who's in charge today? We've got growing geopolitical concerns and lots of tensions out there. The other issue is there's extreme wealth inequality, and that could result in some very social conflicts that could come up, right? Extreme wealth equality can cause those with less to rise up with those against more, potentially in very violent ways. There's man-made and natural ecological disasters, just like we're seeing right now with COVID-19, and global health emergencies, right? The COVID pandemic has really reminded us just how rapidly a virus can disrupt our world as we know it, right? So powerful and so much uncertainty in the world today. Now, what are the types of apocalyptic insurance, and what do they do? Right? How do you prepare? Well, there's a whole bunch of different strategies, and common strategies that they do is they purchase that house in a remote location. Well, that may not be something that you can do, but you may be able to construct some safe environments around you. So, for example, some wealthy families are building self-sufficient bunkers that are stocked with food and water, and oftentimes they don't want to build their own bunkers, so they're gonna go and may consider a abandoned missile silo or military bunkers or things like that, right? Not surprisingly, this apocalyptic insurance is designed to ensure that the super rich, that their wealth survives them. And some billionaires even have plans to make sure that a sizable portion of their wealth remains available to them. Those stores of wealth are often in the form of hard assets, right? Gold, other currencies out there, right? Financial resources. But the one common theme, diversification, is the key goal. So buying a home in a remote country, building a bunker, that's probably not something most of us can do. But what can you do? What are the lessons that you can learn? Because that's what I really want to share with you. And that's how I know you're going to benefit the most. Well, let's take a look at this process. Here's what it looks like. Is among the super rich, the strategies that we've really discovered is step one. You want to ask yourself, what could go wrong? Not in the super rich's life, but in your world, right? What can go wrong? And don't make it about the end of the world, but make it about what could be devastating to your family, potentially both financially and personally in your life, right? Health considerations may be among the top of the list and things you want to consider. These scenarios, they're certainly mundane to the collapse of a government followed by anarchy, but nonetheless, for you and I who are not super rich, right? We don't have net worths north of $500 million. For us, those things can be very damaging to your family and your financial well-being. So step one, identify those disaster scenarios that may impact you and your family. Then you want to evaluate what's the likelihood of this happening. Maybe you've had a medical concern, and so you want to go sequence your DNA, and you conclude there's an increased likelihood of some kind of a disease that you're concerned about, right? How likely is it to happen? Is it a 1% chance or a 70% chance? Then step three, you want to determine your options, right? What can you do about those disasters that you and your family may be facing, right? What are the options? Can you build a clear plan to move forward? And then lastly, step four, you want to implement. Whatever you decide to do, you actually really need to make that happen, right? You want to move forward. You want to engage the right professionals to help you put this plan in place, right? So step one, identify the disaster. Step two, evaluate that disaster scenario. Step three, determine your options. Number four, you actually have to implement what you're going to do. What's the conclusion of all of this, right? What can you learn? Well, there's turmoil in the world, socially, politically, economically, all over the place. The super rich have taken steps to take care of the people they love, causes they care about. And you should consider doing that too. Once again, on our scale, it's a little smaller, but the same process, the same framework still applies to you. And the upshot, as we are so well aware, bad things happen in life. They really do, regardless of how much money you have or you don't have. But thinking about those issues, systematically walking through them, can help put you in a better position so you can take care of the people you love, the causes you care about, and it can help you be prepared for the next time an awful possibility becomes an awful reality. I'm Tim McNeely. I'm in your corner. Thanks for tuning in to Secrets of the Super Rich.